whoa. I think that's when I stop. I stop right there because I'm just like, how much we can bear.
Yo, I'm making a change today. The liquor been taking the pain away. I heard you was giving your chain away. That's kind of like giving your fame away. What's wrong with you? I sit in a box where the owners do. A boss is a role that I've grown into. I love you to death, but I told you the truth. I can't just be with you.
Hey boo, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about one of my recent 5-star reads, Tracey Brown. Okay, sis got me wanting to read everything in the catalog, because if she hit me like this with this book, I could just imagine what the rest of her catalog is hitting on. Unfortunately, we did lose Tracey earlier this year, and the RIPs and everything did leave me intrigued about this author. So I'm sad that I didn't catch on to her sooner, but we here now, baby. We here, and I am for it. Let's talk about Hold You Down. First, let's get into this cover. Let's get into the cover because it's giving New York, definitely. It's giving, I thought it would be like New York and maybe a Southern girl, but this cover is really giving. I love it. The book, it is historical fiction. We have some romance. Contemporary, there are a lot of deaths, a lot of them. Relationships, I would say not only romantic relationships, but this book also deals with a lot of family relationships. If anything, the family relationship is the biggest piece, not the love relationships. Let me read a little bit of the synopsis so you guys can kind of see what we're getting into. Hold You Down is an edgy novel from rising star Tracey Brown about the perils of love and ties that bind. New York City, late 80s, early 90s. First thing I think about is crack epidemic. Mercy and Lennox Howard have always only had each other. Growing up on the mean streets of Harlem with the absentee mother meant that they had to look after each other's back. Now young, smart mothers, so they have kids. They have one child each. They are determined to survive in New York City while raising their 2 sons who have bright futures ahead of them. Do they though? Mercy is, where am I at? Oh, Mercy is the quiet, straight-laced hospital administrator struggling to make ends meet. At night and on the weekends, she pours her heart into her cooking and her dream of owning her own restaurant. Aww. Lennox is a diva, so we already know who's who on this cover, right? The wild child looking for excitement and her big come up in life and love. Their boys, Deon and Judah, have been raised more like brothers than cousins, forging a bond that is unbreakable. It just, every time I just think about this book, I'm just like, whoo! Then Lennox, so this is the diva sister. She heads down the wrong path. She believes that will bring her more success and more power, and it changes the course of her life and her family's life forever. As a result of their mother's choices, cousins Deon and Judah soon find themselves in uncharted territory. Let's talk about it. So first, let's deal with the sisters. Mercy and Lennox. So Mercy, she just want to just live straight and narrow and do the right thing and dot the I's and cross the T's. She wants love. She wants to take care of her son. She wants the best for her son. She wants just a regular, regular life. That's what she wants. And her sister is more like, yo, come on, we gotta get this money. Come on, we could do this, we could do that. Let's flip your cooking and turn into something else. And Mercy's like, no, how about I just do it on the side and, not make it a business. And so for not long story, because I'm going to get into it. Ain't going to be no long story short. Lennox ends up, so earlier I had mentioned about the crack epidemic. Everybody knows about that in the late 80s, early 90s, what these United States went through, especially in, I think it was all over. I don't think it was just in New York, it was all over. But it was a really trying time for African Americans during that time. And so it was up and coming, and Lennox, she got into it. Not doing the drugs, but selling the drugs, getting quick money, and really setting her son apart from her sister and her son, and just doing big things, making big moves. And eventually those big moves did catch up with her, and she was killed. So she was killed in the midst of all of this hustle and bustle, and it really did have a major toll on her son, Deon. I think her son was Deon. It really did have a big toll on him, and he started acting out, going down the wrong path. He had got into it with some boys in the neighborhood, and poor Judah, he was just like a real straight arrow, and he didn't know much about street life and things like that. But somehow or another, he did get his hands on a gun. So his cousin Deon got into it, and he felt like he was going to lose his cousin, and so he did the unimaginable and got the gun. And did he kill old boy? I think he did end up committing a heinous crime. And so are you following me? Because the guy that spent a lot of time in juvie, he got into it with some guys in the neighborhood, and the good cousin ended up getting a gun and defending his cousin and shooting the guy that was trying to beat up his cousin, which he thought that if he didn't do that he would end up losing his cousin. So with that, the good cousin ended up going to prison. It was like, my God. He was on the path to go to college, and so this was like their senior year or their junior year or something like that. But the good cousin, I don't want to call a good cousin a bad cousin, because everybody makes mistakes. So let's call them by their names. Judah ends up going to prison for a long stint, and Deon is out here, and I think at that point, when he saw how it affected Judah's mother, Mercy, he cleaned himself up. He really did. He cleaned himself up, and he tried to, he got a job, and he was driving trucks and doing, just really trying to get himself straight. Well, Mercy, the mom, she was so poured into her son being in prison and just really trying to support him and be there for him. She didn't even allow herself to love. She did have a love interest in the book, but she did not allow that love to blossom, and eventually that love did fall between her fingers because she was so invested on, going up to see her son and doing things with her son that's in prison and just kind of looking out. And it's giving, oh my gosh, it's giving love after lockup. But she was spending a lot of time there, as any mother probably would, but she did not. It just kind of drained her. It drained the stress, and all of it just drained her. You could read it in the pages. And then it was when Deon and Judah, as they were growing up, they did have a friend girl. I don't know her name. Shayla? Something like that. Anyway, they had a friend girl, and she was Judah's girl. Okay, growing up, they were supposed to go to college together, supposed to do all this stuff. But then when Judah got into, when he was locked up in prison, he told her, you know, don't wait for me. Live your life. Go ahead. Do what you need to do. And she did. It was the event. Oh, gosh. So I talked about how Mercy really just poured herself out until she stopped going to see her son, and her son was trying to figure out, why isn't my mom coming to see me? So he asked Deon to go check on his mom, and when he checked on his mom, she was sick. She was very, very sick, and he wanted to tell him that his mom was sick, but I for some reason or another, I don't believe he made it. It just got to him. By the time Deon was able to get to Mercy, it was too late, and she had passed away, like, I don't know, that day, a couple of days later. So, whoa, I think that's when I stopped. I stopped right there, because I'm just like, how much we can bear. I couldn't bear no more right there. I had to give her a pause. And then, so we pick back up, and Mercy has passed away. Lennox has passed away. You got Judah in prison. Deon out here trying to just make it because he's feeling guilty because he feel like most of this is his fault. Well, the friend girl Shayla at the funeral, she's trying to comfort Judah that's in prison, and Judah's like giving her the cold shoulder, like he don't want that comfort. And eventually her and Deon, they do talk and, you know, kind of reminisce, and she helps him out with different things like setting up getting the apartment squared away where Mercy lived, because he's not living in the city at the time. He's a truck driver, so he's transient and on the road and stuff. So she helps him out. She done messed around and got with the cousin. So here they are trying to figure out, well, how are we going to tell Judah that me and you are a thing? And I'm like, y'all don't need to tell him, because y'all don't need to be a thing. Like, stop it, knock it off. But they don't. They don't knock it off. They keep going. And they keep it a secret from Judah this entire time. And I get it, but I'm just like, wow, all the girls in the world, all the men out here, this what y'all doing? Well, eventually, Judah gets out of prison. He's excited. His cousin's coming to pick him up. He's like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. He's like, yeah, I got you set up. He picks him up, and he picks him up, and he brings him to the apartment. He got his own room, because you got to think, when Deon's mom passed and Deon moved in with Judah and his mom, Judah had to share his bedroom. So he's never been out here as an adult. He was like a teenager, like maybe 16 or 17 when he got locked up. So now he's 20 something. He's an adult. He's never had his own room. He's never had his own stuff. So Deon gives him his own room in his apartment. He buys him all these clothes and just kind of set him up like, yeah, cuz, and we got this job set up for you, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And so in the meantime, Judah does talk to Shayla. I just call her Shayla. I'm not sure if that's her name, but we're going to call her Shayla. Talks to Shayla, and she's like, well, what happened? You just left me on the curb. Meanwhile, she doing his cousin. You didn't. He said, well, you know, I didn't want you away from me. I want you to live your life. And she was like, well, at the funeral, you just kind of shook me off. And he was like, I was grieving my mother. I don't know what I did at that time. And left it there. Well, we get to the apartment. And, you know, this is happening over some days. This ain't all happening the same day. But we get to the apartment. And I guess Deon's like in the shower or something. And the phone rings. And it keeps ringing. And Judah answers the phone. Girl, tell me why Shayla is on the phone talking about, oh, thank you so much for answering. Because I left that part out. Because Deon, when Judah got out, Deon cut it off from Shayla. Like, cold turkey, cut her off. And she won't feeling that because she was really feeling him. Cut him off. And so when Judah finally answered Deon's phone, Shayla thought it was Deon, and instead of waiting and talking regular, she just diarrhea at the mouth talking. Thank you so much for answering. We gotta tell Judah we could be together. He can understand. Girl. And Judah was like, now, you know you talking to Judah, right? Yo, I wish that should be a movie. I need to see that clip in the movie because I know her jaw just dropped. Because at that moment, everything was out on the table. And naturally, Judah lost it. He tried to kill his cousin. And the neighbors called the cops. And, you can't be messing with the cops. You on probation. So Deon covered for him, face all messed up. He said, no, we good. I failed, all that kind of stuff. And Judah ended up leaving. He left. And, that pretty much wrapped up the book. It was just like, hold you down. Mercy held Lennox down. But Deon didn't hold Judah down. That book is deep. I still be thinking about that book. Well, hope I didn't bring the mood down, but if you made it this far,
he thought he was sick, now we wiping his nose, okay? Soon as you give him your soul, you blow up and they say you're selling your soul, okay? They want my life exposed, they wanna know about the highs and lows. Well, summer all I did was rest, okay? And New Year's all I did was stretch, okay? And Valentine's Day I had sex, okay? We'll see what's about to happen next, okay? Okay, we'll see what's about to happen next, okay?